Senate will come to order. The senators will please take their seats. Senators and all in attendance will please stand and be led in prayer by the Honorable Barbara A. Favola, 31st Senatorial District. Following the prayer, everyone will please remain standing and be led in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America by Tara Perkinson, Chief Deputy Clerk, Senate Clerk's Office.
Good morning. I ask you to join me in a moment of prayer and reflection. O God, grant us the wisdom to find that moral universe and the courage to bend the arc of that universe towards justice, as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. implored us to do. On our journey towards justice, teach us to embrace our diversity, for that will strengthen our common humanity. In our hearts, we know that every one of us desires and deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. Few are granted the privileges we enjoy as members of this deliberative body, and with those privileges comes the responsibility to govern with compassion and humility and fairness. Always remind us to never let pride get the best of us. Fill our hearts with love so we may mend what divides us, and give us the will to find the bonds that unite us. As we embark on the work of making laws and caring for our fellow Virginians, remind us to not be so quick to judge. Many of us can recall the words of the Pulitzer Prize-winning author Harper Lee. Quote, "You never really understand a person until you consider things from his or her point of view, until you climb into that person's skin and walk around in it." Oh God, give us kindness so we can make every day bright and bring joy to those we encounter. We ask for these gifts with sincerity and a singleness of purpose. And we ask you to bless the Commonwealth of Virginia and the United States of America. Amen.
Senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. I hope you had a nice weekend.
Good afternoon, Senator. I did. Hope you did too.
Mr. President, I respectfully move that the rules of the Senate be suspended consistent with the motion that we adopted on the first day that allows for remote and electronic participation by members.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the rules be suspended? All in favor of suspending the rules will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll. Ayes 37, no 0. The rules are suspended. The clerk will call the roll. All those in attendance will please record their vote aye.
Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 30. You have a quorum, Mr. President. Sorry.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The senator from Augusta, Senator Hanger, moves that the reading of the journal be waived. All in favor of waiving the reading of the journal will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote?
Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 33, noes 4.
Ayes 33, noes 4. The reading of the journal is waived. The clerk will report any communication from the House of Delegates.
We do not have any, sir.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The clerk will report any communication from the governor.
Do not have any, sir.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Resolutions, petitions, and bills are now in order. Is there any other business to come in the morning hour? Do any other senators wish to be recognized? Seeing none, the clerk will call the calendar.
Senate calendar for Monday, January 18, 2021. Uncontested calendar. Senate bills on second reading. Senate Bill 1110, a bill relating to property duties of real estate settlement agents. Reported from the Committee on General Laws and Technology with amendment.
Senator from Northern Chesapeake, Senator Spruill.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move the amendment.
Senator? It's okay. Thank the Senator. You're good.
Thank you.
Question is, shall the amendment be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendment is adopted.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the bill be engrossed and passed to its third reading.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1175, a bill relating to Brunswick County School Board, appointed school board salaries. Reported from the Committee on Education and Health.
Senator from Mecklenburg, Senator Ruff.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the bill be engrossed and passed to its third reading.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Regular calendar, Senate bills on second reading. Senate Bill 1132, a bill relating to public schools, severe weather conditions, and other emergency situations, unscheduled remote learning day. Reported from the Committee on Education and Health, and there is a floor amendment.
Senator from Roanoke County, Senator Suderline.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would first move that the Senate waive the reading of the floor amendment.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the reading of the floor amendment be waived? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The reading of the floor amendment is waived. Senator from Roanoke County, Senator Suderline.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate adopt the proposed floor amendment, and speaking briefly to that motion.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. So the bill that we'll be considering tomorrow has to do with unscheduled remote learning days here for our public school systems. And in committee, there was some concern expressed about the number of times it might be used. And so the amendment that is now before the Senate would limit the number of such days of unscheduled remote learning days that could be used to 10. This is something that was drawn up with support from the administration, the superintendents that brought it, and some of the legislators that expressed concern in committee. So I hope it will be the pleasure of the Senate to adopt the floor amendment.
Thank the Senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding the floor amendment? Seeing none, the question is, shall the floor amendment be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The floor amendment is adopted. Senator from Roanoke County, Senator Suderline.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate engross the now amended Senate Bill 1132 and advance it to its third constitutional reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1171, a bill relating to the State and Local Government Conflict of Interest Act, disclosure requirements, industrial development authorities, and economic development authorities. Reported for the Committee on General Laws and Technology with an amendment, and there are 2 floor amendments.
Senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I respectfully ask that that bill be passed by for the day, sir.
Thank the senator. Without objection, the bill will go by for the day.
Senate Bill 1190, a bill to direct the Board of Education to include advanced directive education as its curriculum framework for the health standards of learning for high school students. Reported from the Committee on Education and Health.
Junior Senator from Virginia Beach, Senator Kiggins.
Mr. President, could that bill go by for the day?
Without objection, Senate Bill 1190 will go by for the day.
Uncontested calendar, Senate Bill on first reading. Senate Bill 1299, a bill relating to alcoholic beverage control, sale, and delivery of mixed beverages and pre-mixed wine for off-premises consumption.
Senior Senator from Fairfax, Senator Saslaw.
Mr. President, inquire of the clerk, does that complete the calendar?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. For what purpose does the Senior Senator from Virginia Beach, Senator D. Steph, rise?
Mr. President, I rise for a point of personal privilege when appropriate.
Senators, now it's fine. Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, I know many of you will be happy to hear today's point of personal privilege will not be about the parole board's release of another cold-blooded killer, violent serial rapist, or dangerous child sexual predator. Today, I want to discuss the governor's abysmal execution of the COVID vaccine distribution. On Friday, the headline in the Richmond Times-Dispatch was, 1 month into vaccinations, Virginia inches towards its goal of 25,000 doses a day, but is still behind most of the U.S. Inches is right. As of today, the actual number of doses administered is 15,000. And as the days tick by, we have dropped further behind, not made improvements. It's gotten worse. We've previously demonstrated our ability to vaccinate 100,000 people plus in 2 days. At that rate, we could have Virginia's largest city completely vaccinated in a week. But when my district's mayor sent a letter to the governor expressing his frustrations over the confusing and even contradictory information, the lack of health department staffing, and the insufficient supply chain to inconsistencies in the distribution process, the governor's spokesman stated in his response, some leaders suing the Commonwealth has made everyone's job more difficult. First of all, the lawsuit was filed on my behalf. I have absolutely zero to do with the governor's lack of planning and clear inability to manage the vaccination rollout. Secondly, if ensuring that the administration is following the Constitution makes their jobs more difficult, well, sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. Would it be easier for police just to kick down your door, go into your home, and seize evidence whenever they need it? Yes, but the Constitution requires they obtain a warrant. Would it be easier for this administration if I just stood by and allowed the governor to continue unchecked with his authoritarian rule? Sure. But I took a sworn oath to uphold the Constitution, and that's what I'll continue to do. If that makes it more difficult for them, again, I say it's just too bad. Now, is the governor purposely dragging his feet with the vaccination and punishing the citizens of Virginia Beach retaliation and retribution for my lawsuit? God, I hope not. Rest assured, I will not tolerate any retaliation for exercising my First Amendment guarantees. At today's average daily rate of 16,432 doses administered each day, Virginia could easily be waiting about a year and a half to see the entire Commonwealth vaccinated. This is unacceptable. I will not be silent about it. Again, we've previously demonstrated our ability to vaccinate 100,000 people in my district in 2 days. For those following the numbers, perhaps you've noticed that the number of vaccinations administered went up today, but the number of doses distributed did not increase. Perhaps the feds not providing Virginia with any additional doses at the moment because we can't seem to get the ones we have in the arms of our citizens, which the ones we have on hand, 943,400. Mr. President, why is this administration not demanding a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week operation to administer these vaccines? Why are we not ready to distribute this vaccine? Why were we not waiting on the vaccine? The hard work has been done. Scientists have miraculously developed a life-saving vaccine in record time. The pharmaceutical industry has made it possible to manufacture and deliver it, and yet your administration was completely unprepared to get the shots into people's arms. Ultimately, Virginians who could have been saved will die because this administration failed to do enough to prepare for this moment. Thank you.
For what purpose is the senior senator from Fairfax, Senator Sasslaw, rise?
I'll just briefly say that I think it was as of yesterday, only 13 states in America had vaccinated more people than Virginia.
For what purpose is the senator from Roanoke City, Senator Edwards, rise?
Mr. President, on a matter of personal privilege.
Senator, has the floor.
Mr. President, over the weekend, I received from my grandson, Trey Edwards, not quite 13 years old, a poem I'd like to read to everybody. It's so insightful as what's happened to this country starting on January the 6th, almost 2 weeks ago. And I would like to read it to you because it's so pertinent to what we're doing in this country and about what's really happening to this country. It's written in a form that looks like the capital of Virginia. I'll give everybody a copy if you'd like to see it. Looks like the capital of Virginia. And here's his poem. This is it. It has gone way too far, breaking down doors like bulls, climbing the walls like monkeys. The insurrectionists whine like children. They're allowed to breach the Capitol. They walk out like a guest after a dinner. No questions, no punishment, no arrest. Yet black people get shot while sleeping. Black people get killed, not for invading our Capitol, our house, our nation, but for walking downstairs. Black people get killed, not for tearing down art or for smashing windows, but for wearing a hoodie. Black people get killed, not for killing officers or threatening our leaders, but for holding a weapon. Black people get killed, not while storming a government building, but while sleeping. Black people get killed, not for causing millions of dollars in damage, but for petty theft at a store. Black people are 2.5 times as likely as white Americans to be shot by police. What would have happened if they had been the ones staging a war against the government? He's not quite 13 years old. I'm so proud of him. Trey Edwards lives in Houston, Texas with his family. And if anybody wants a copy, I'd be glad to give you one. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank the senator. What purpose is the senator from Arlington, Senator Favola, rise?
I rise on a point of personal privilege, Mr. President.
Senator, has the floor.
Thank you. I think it is worth noting Virginia is the 12th largest state in the United States. We have vaccinated more than 316,000 Virginians. In fact, we are vaccinating more people on a percentage basis than the largest state, California. Can we do better? Of course, but there are challenges. The governor has now asked all medical facilities to get our vaccines out. We have a system set up to do our prioritization in line with CDC. The governor will use the National Guard if necessary to set up sites and to ensure that Virginians get vaccinated as quickly as possible. We are doing our best. The governor is exercising his authority in, I think, an appropriate and responsible manner. He is the only physician governor in the Commonwealth. I think this is the time we should all try to get together and do what we can to help our fellow Virginians if they need to get to a vaccination site, if they need medical care. We know where those access points are. We know where the information lies. We, as leaders in our Commonwealth, I think, need to do more than what we're doing. Thank you, Mr. President.
For what purpose does the senior senator from Chesterfield, Senator Chase, rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise for the point of a personal privilege.
Senator, it's the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would just like to recognize that today around the nation, in our capital here in Richmond, we have the Virginia Citizens Defense League annual rally, and they are actually circling around, driving peacefully to let you all know how important protecting the Second Amendment, their personal right to be able to protect themselves, is to them and hopefully to this body. Mr. President, unfortunately this year, the Virginia Citizens Defense League was actually denied a permit to express their grievances before their government because they were not allowed to get that permit. Last year, this time, we had about 80,000 individuals, and I was honored enough to be a guest speaker at that event in which the streets were cleaner than they found them. Peaceful rallies. Mr. President, I just want to thank the body for allowing me to speak today and just express to you all how important it is for us to all advocate for the Constitution, whether we agree with each other or not. The Constitution is our plumb line, and I'm speaking today on behalf of all the citizens in the 11th District and those across Virginia that support our Second Amendment and our gun rights. Thank you, Mr. President.
Do any other senators wish to be recognized? Is there any other business to come before the Senate? Seeing none, the clerk will report any announcements on the desk.
Today, Monday, January 18th, the Committee on Commerce and Labor will meet 15 minutes after adjournment, West Committee Room, Science Museum. The Education and Health Subcommittee on Higher Education will meet 1/2 hour after adjournment, Senate Chamber in the Science Museum. Senators Locke, Peterson, Cosgrove, and Hashmi. The Finance and Appropriations Subcommittee on Health and Human Resources will meet at 4 p.m. East Committee Room at the Science Museum. Senators Howell, Hanger, Vogel, Barker, Dees, Eben, and McClellan. Tomorrow, Tuesday, January 19th, the Finance and Appropriations Subcommittee on Economic Development and Natural Resources will meet 7:30 a.m. West Committee Room, Science Museum. Senators Marsden, Ruff, Howell, Saslaw, Hanger, and Barker. This is a scheduled change. The Finance and Appropriations Subcommittee on General Government will meet at 7:30 a.m. Senate Chamber at the Science Museum. Senators Peterson, Newman, Lucas, Vogel, Locke, and Eben. The Committee on Finance and Appropriations will meet at 9 a.m. West Committee Room, Science Museum. The Rehabilitation and Social Services Subcommittee on Marijuana will meet at 8 a.m. East Committee Room, Science Museum. Senators McPike, McDougal, Reeves, Seraville, Spruill, Boysko, and Kiggins. The Democratic Caucus will meet at 11:30 a.m. Democratic Caucus Room and the Republican caucus will meet at 11:30 a.m. in the Republican caucus room.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll call on the senator from Portsmouth, Senator Lucas.
Good afternoon, Mr. President.
There we go. Good afternoon, Senator.
Thank you. Mr. President, I would move that the Senate do now adjourn until 12 noon tomorrow.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the Senate stand adjourned until 12 noon tomorrow? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Senate stands adjourned until 12 noon tomorrow.